All right, so welcome in, everybody. We're diving deep today, and the story we're looking at today is one that kind of just like, oh man, intense. Megan Parker, single mom, Charlotte, North Carolina, and she had a car accident back in August that just like totally,
Oh, wow.
yeah, turned everything upside down, and it gets into faith and doubt, and she had a near-death experience.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, pretty wild stuff. So
That's it.
we're using this article pasted text to kind of walk through everything.
I think it's so interesting. Like, everyone wants to know, like, what's the meaning of life, right?
Right.
And this story is, like, through the lens of faith, you know?
Exactly. Yeah, and like before we even get to the accident, the article like sets up her whole life.
Right.
Like she was working as a paralegal, raising her teenage son Liam.
Oh, wow.
But also like money's tight. She's got baggage from her childhood, and then she went through a divorce. So.
Like, internal and external, all these pressures, right?
Oh, for sure.
You know, she wants love, she wants stability, but she's got all this, like, past stuff weighing her down.
Totally. You can just like feel that tension.
Yeah. Very relatable, I think, for a lot of people.
Oh yeah, and then to add to that, she grew up super religious, like really devout family. But even with all that, the article mentions that her parents had a rough relationship.
Interesting.
So it makes you think, right? Like faith can be this comfort, but it doesn't magically fix everything.
Right.
So she's already got all this stuff going on with faith even before the accident happens.
That's a good point. It's not just like black and white, you know? It's like all these experiences, good and bad, shaping how she sees it.
Totally. And after the divorce, things get even more complicated.
Right.
She starts following this televangelist, Ryan Jacobs, drawn to his whole message of prosperity and success.
Now that's interesting from a, theological perspective.
Right.
Because the idea that like material wealth equals God's favor, it's a specific interpretation of faith.
Yeah.
Some people love it, some people really disagree, right?
It's a big question, isn't it? Like, can you really seek material blessings through faith?
Mm-hmm.
Or is that kind of missing the point?
Yeah.
It's something Megan's wrestling with, and it's like the article kind of puts that question out there for all of us.
I think that's really thought-provoking.
Yeah.
Like, what does a truly fulfilling life look like?
Right.
It makes you really examine your own beliefs.
And it's with all this swirling around that the accident happens. The article, it really like sets the scene. She's driving home from a counseling session, rain's pouring, streets are slick,
Oh, man.
and then bam, collision.
Whoa.
Yeah, everything changes in that instant.
They describe it like it's a movie.
Yeah.
Almost. Like you
Yeah.
can hear the screeching tires, the impact. It's like sudden and violent.
Yeah, it's like jarring, and that leads right into this near-death experience.
Oh, wow.
So she's thrown from the car, hovering above it all, can't even scream.
Like the classic out-of-body thing,
Right. It's so wild because science still can't really explain that stuff.
right? It's fascinating.
Clearly.
NDEs, near-death experiences, some people say it's the brain, like going through trauma.
Right.
But then others, they see it as proof of something beyond, a spiritual realm.
That's like a whole other layer of reality opening up.
Exactly. And Megan's case just adds to that mystery.
And it doesn't stop there. Like, she's not just watching the accident.
Yeah.
She gets pulled downwards into this terrifying place.
Oh, no.
Yeah, fiery chasm, tortured souls, demonic figures everywhere.
Oh, wow.
It's like straight out of, classic depictions of hell, which, considering her background,
Yeah, that's interesting.
really makes you think.
Super stark imagery.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, the article doesn't say, like, literally or symbolically,
Mm-hmm.
but it's definitely meant to evoke,
Yeah, a sense of dread.
horror, judgment, all of that.
And it gets personal.
Oh,
This huge demonic figure appears right in front of her,
oh my gosh.
and it accuses her of having misplaced faith. Yeah, saying she's focused on worldly gain instead of like true spiritual purpose, intense stuff.
So here's where those teachings from Ryan Jacobs come back in.
Right.
Because misplaced faith can mean a lot of things. But in this context, it's like a critique of putting money before,
Yeah, deeper values.
Exactly. It's really making a statement.
You gotta wonder, right? Like, could this whole experience, the chasm, the demons, be like a manifestation of what's going on inside her?
That's really interesting.
Like her struggles, anxieties, all projected outward.
It makes sense if you think about how the subconscious works,
Mm-hmm.
especially with trauma.
Yeah, it might be using this symbolic language to process it all.
Right. Whether it's literal or metaphorical, there's no denying the power of it.
Absolutely.
And it gets even crazier because in this horrific place,
Mhm.
Megan sees Ryan Jacobs, the televangelist.
Oh, wow, the one she was following.
Yeah, and he's suffering with the damned.
Whoa, talk about a reality check.
Right.
So why is he there? Like, what does the article say about his torment?
Well, it says he's in chains, demons are whipping him, and he has to watch everyone he misled suffer.
Oh, man, that's intense.
It's graphic, but the point is clear. You know, spiritual accountability.
Yeah.
Like, there are consequences for twisting faith for your own gain.
It's heavy stuff. You know, we were talking about whether seeking material wealth through faith is okay.
Right.
And this seems like a pretty strong argument against it.
Yeah, like think about the responsibility that comes with spiritual authority, the potential for manipulation,
Right.
and the harm it can cause, even if you think you're doing good.
It makes you really step back and think about all the different interpretations of faith out there
Definitely.
and how important it is to figure out what feels true to you.
Absolutely.
But back to Megan. How does she react to seeing Jacobs like that?
It says she's horrified, completely disillusioned.
Yeah, I bet.
Like her whole belief system just crumbles.
Yeah.
She has to face the fact that what she believed might have been not only wrong,
Right.
but actually harmful.
It's like everything she was holding on to just vanishes.
Exactly. And that's when things take another turn.
Okay.
This bright light cuts through the darkness, pushes back the demons,
Whoa.
and as the light gets stronger, Jesus appears.
Okay, so we went from a near-death experience to like a full-blown biblical epic.
Right.
It's interesting how the article kind of blends those together.
Yeah.
What's the significance of Jesus showing up here?
Well, for Megan, who grew up Christian, it's like the ultimate rescue, divine intervention.
Okay.
Like this force of love and justice that overcomes the darkness and torment.
So it's not just random, it's like a turning point for her.
Yeah, exactly. The article says she falls to her knees, overwhelmed.
Wow.
And his words to her really,
Okay, what does he say?
he talks about her misplaced faith. He says she looked for comfort in human words instead of seeking.
It's a powerful moment, but it feels more like guidance than judgment,
Right. It's not about condemning her. It's about redirecting her.
Okay.
He's emphasizing that you have to find real spiritual guidance,
Yeah.
not just rely on human interpretations that twist the message.
So it's about going beyond blind faith
Yeah.
to something deeper, more personal.
Exactly. And it goes back to what we were saying before.
Right, about spiritual leaders and their teachings.
Yeah, Jesus is basically saying you have to find the truth for yourself.
That's a lot to take in from a theological standpoint.
Yeah.
But how does Megan handle this emotionally?
Well, she's remorseful, admits she was wrong, regrets following those misleading teachings.
It's got to be tough realizing you were on the wrong path.
Yeah, but there's also this sense of relief.
Okay.
Like she's seen and understood by a higher power.
It's like that classic conversion experience.
Yeah.
Old beliefs shattered, replaced by something new and clear.
You could say that's
And it's worth noting that this kind of transformation isn't limited to any one religion, right?
Absolutely.
It's like this universal idea, death and rebirth.
wow.
Facing your shadow self and coming out changed.
It's a powerful archetype across cultures and traditions.
So even if you don't share Megan's beliefs, there's still something universal here.
Totally about personal growth, about questioning your beliefs.
Yeah, that's what makes this whole deep dive so fascinating.
Mhm.
We started with this one woman's story, but it's opened up all these bigger questions about faith, purpose, how we deal with tough times.
Exactly. And it makes you wonder, what happens next?
Right. Does she stay in this spiritual realm?
Yeah.
Or does she come back to reality?
Well, the article makes it clear this isn't the end.
Okay.
It says she returns to her body, wakes up in a hospital bed.
Oh, wow. What a shift.
Right.
From a fiery chasm and talking to Jesus
Yeah.
to like a sterile hospital room.
It makes you think, how do you even process that?
Exactly. Like, how does she go back to normal life after that?
Well, that's the big question, right?
Mm-hmm.
Does she try to forget it all?
Yeah.
Or does it change how she lives?
That's what we'll find out in the last part of our deep dive. Okay, so we're back and ready to like wrap up this whole Megan Parker story.
Yeah.
We've covered her life before the accident, that crazy near-death thing, talking with Jesus. Now, what happens after all that? Like, how does she go back to, normal life?
Right. Bills, jobs, a teenager.
Exactly. Does it all just like magically get better?
Well, the article's pretty real about that. It's not a fairy tale ending.
Okay.
She still has problems,
Right.
but it's how she deals with them that changes.
Okay, so no magic wand, but like a new perspective.
You got it.
So what's different? Like, give me the specifics.
Well, first, those Ryan Jacobs teachings.
Yeah, the prosperity stuff.
Yeah, that all seems empty to her now.
Like, it lost its appeal.
Totally. She goes back to the Bible,
Mm-hmm.
but not for quick fixes anymore.
It's like she's actually trying to understand it now.
Yeah, exactly. Not just looking for what she wants to hear.
Right.
And it affects her work, too.
Oh, how so?
She's not as focused on, like, climbing the ladder.
Mm,
More drawn to, work that feels meaningful.
okay.
So she starts volunteering at a soup kitchen.
Wow, that's a big change from being a paralegal.
Yeah, it shows how her values have shifted.
Like, it's not just talk, she's actually living it.
Right, actions speak louder than words, right?
And what about her son, Liam?
Oh, yeah, their relationship changes.
They were having those, typical teenage struggles before.
Yeah, but after, there's a deeper connection.
Okay.
The article doesn't say how, exactly,
Right.
but they communicate better, they understand each other more.
Well, it makes sense, right? When you go through something that intense,
Yeah,
it's going to affect how you relate to everyone.
like maybe she's more patient, more present,
Yeah, or maybe Liam just senses the change in her.
right, in response to it.
It's probably a bit of everything.
The article doesn't say she's a perfect mom now,
Right.
but it shows how personal growth can impact your family.
And I like that they acknowledge she still has problems. Like the money troubles, being a single parent, that doesn't just go away.
But it's her attitude towards it that's different.
Okay, that inner peace idea.
Yeah, like, it's not about having no problems.
Right.
It's about facing them differently.
So she's more resilient now,
Exactly. She trusts that things will work out.
even when she doesn't know how.
It all comes back to faith, doesn't it?
Yeah, like what does it really mean to live a life of faith?
For Megan, it's not about praying for what she wants.
It's about like surrendering,
Yeah, trusting in something bigger.
even when things are hard.
Exactly.
It's a subtle difference, but it's huge.
It is.
It reminds me of that serenity prayer,
Oh, yeah.
accepting what you can't change, having the courage to change what you can.
And the wisdom to know the difference.
Megan seems to have found that wisdom.
And her story is Christian.
Mm,
But those ideas, they go beyond any one religion.
right. Finding strength in being vulnerable, focusing on what you can control.
These are things everyone goes through.
It's what makes this whole deep dive so interesting. We started with this one story, but it's like opened up so much more.
Yeah. Faith, purpose, how we make meaning out of tough times.
As we wrap up, what would you say is the biggest takeaway from Megan's journey?
For me, it's that transformation isn't a one-time thing.
No.
It's a process.
Like, even after something as intense as what Megan went through.
Yeah, the real work is living those lessons every day.
Right, the choices you make, how you treat people, how you handle problems.
Exactly. It's not about reaching some perfect state of,
Enlightenment.
yeah, it's about constantly learning and growing.
And that's something we can all do.
Think about your own life.
Yeah.
Where are you looking for meaning, for purpose, for a better way to be,
Megan's story shows us that change is possible.
even when it seems impossible?
It's a powerful message.
And with that, I think we're going to wrap up this deep dive.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, everyone.
It's always great to have you along for the ride.
We appreciate you all.